Welcome back. These days, it is just a fact that we all look different. And I'm not talking about the quarantine 15, though that may play a part too. The most visual representation of who we are, our faces, have been half covered. Well, we met one photographer who decided to document this simple act of kindness, wearing a mask, but he discovered something else along the way. When it comes to his craft, you might say AJ Stetson just has an eye for it.
Yeah, the stories are what I find so captivating.
Stories secured to an iron fence each morning.
6 feet apart, socially distanced.
And told using just the eyes, since the rest of the face is hidden. Portraits of everyday New Yorkers exhibiting a simple sign of respect, a mask.
I feel almost possessed by the urge to continue capturing New Yorkers in this moment wearing masks.
This moment, a global pandemic brought on by a virus that demands we keep our distance. But whether simple or elaborate, Stetson says these pieces of fabric have actually brought us closer together.
We're all experiencing the indignity of having to cover our faces, the inconvenience of doing that, but the shared empathy of collectively wearing these masks to protect each other is, I think, something that has formed a collective bond with each other.
That bond? The basis of Stetson's new outdoor COVID-safe exhibit, Masked NYC.
If you can look down to me just a little bit.
AJ Stetson was originally drawn to the art of portraiture years ago, inspired by the oil paintings of John Singer Sargent.
The soulfulness with which he was able to capture the expression in the eyes. From there, I became increasingly interested in the stories, the narratives of the humans behind that.
Stetson's own narrative plays a part in his latest project. He, too, suffered a bout with COVID-19.
The fever was quite high, and I was in that room for 25 days.
4, 3, 2, 1! But he emerged with a whole lot of pent-up creative energy.
I knew after coming out I needed to do something.
He needed to once again put his photographic eye back to use. And after all that time alone in quarantine, he needed to be around people.
If you just close your eyes and take a low breath, good, breathing nice and easy, and recall some of the experiences and emotions since the pandemic began. And whenever you feel comfortable, opening your eyes. Beautiful, Sarah. Would you feel comfortable doing one without your glasses?
Sure.
Is it fair to say that when you're taking portraits, the eyes are some of the most important features?
The eyes can tell quite a bit.
Who's this?
This is Sylvia Weinstock, a legendary wedding cake maker.
What struck you about her?
Her gaze. She seemed rapturous and radiant. And I looked at her, she looked at me, and I asked, may I photograph you? She said yes. And so I did.
He did, and he did, and he did. He's taken 700 portraits and counting.
Erica, extraordinary photographer. Maddie at Washington Square Park. This gentleman on 6th Avenue. I am a people person. I think that's what drew me to portrait photography.
And it just so happens,
Here's a good mask.
people are drawn to the work.
You took all these pictures.
I did.
Really, really good.
The people are. Wonderful variety of
Thank you.
masks.
Thank
too,
you.
And ethnicities, and a sense of community is created by this.
Thank you.
I adore it.
They're particularly taken by, well, you may have already guessed.
I love the eyes.
Heartfelt strength. That's what I see in his eyes.
I think what I've been discovering since we've been masked now for half a year or longer is that we can tell even more than we considered about someone's state of being, someone's presence in the moment from just the eyes.
It was so great to meet someone who's turned this pandemic into something so positive, and he was actually kind enough to take our portraits. Take a look at these. We couldn't not show them off. This is my photographer, Mauro Brattoli, a fantastic photographer in his own right. Then I've got my mask there on the left. And yes, it says, keep Betty White safe, wear a mask. Now, if you want to see it, this display is up until Wednesday, through Wednesday. It's called Masked NYC. It's a couple blocks east of Union Square. It's outside the Quaker Meeting House at East 15th and Rutherford Place. And there are several venues, both indoors and outdoors, that have expressed interest in hosting this exhibit next. So stay tuned. All right, coming up next, Reagan Medji's going to be back with the full forecast, and she's always wearing her mask.